like to welcome you tonight to our second issue analysis presentation. I am Helen Abbott. I'm a 7th grade social studies teacher.
I'm Rachel Faulkner. I'm a 1st grade teacher.
I'm Joelle Hendry. I teach 2nd grade.
I'm Lynn Smart, and I teach 6th grade ELA.
And Joe Wild, K4 instructional specialist.
In front of you this evening is a folder. Inside you will find a green piece of paper for you to take notes on throughout our presentation. There are some handouts we included from our presentation in case you'd like to refer to them in the future. And a ruler for you to keep. And please help yourself to the water and candy at your table. Tonight we're going to start off with an activity. Please look at the pink Post-it note on the front of your folder. You should have either an O or an RW. And this is going to determine what group you are in for our activity. We're going to use a chart paper that's already affixed on our walls, and there should be some markers at the table for you to use. And we're going to ask a member of the group to share at the end. All right, so the O's. Your job is going to list as many occupations as you can that value numerical literacy. The RWs, you're going to list all the ways you use math in everyday life. So on the left side, we're going to start with the RWs, and on the right side, we're going to start with the O's. So if you would, can you please grab a marker and go to a wall? So we're going to start a timer for you, so you have about 3 minutes. Get right.
Right on both?
I love it.
Eat it as it is.
Oh, I didn't know what I had. I guess this shouldn't be there.
Yeah, they're coming out the one side.
That's my next one. Cashier.
The penny.
Grant coordinator. Data administrator. That's one for tonight.
Interior design person.
So our snails are saying you have about 30 seconds left.
We're still racing.
This is the last one, thank God.
Please finish up your final thoughts and just stand right there by your poster. I'm going to ask you to share out. All right, on to our right side, our first O group for occupations. You guys want to give us 2 or 3 of your occupations to share?
Sure. We had financial advisor and let's see, police officer.
Excellent. Very good. Our second occupation group?
We had some different ones, like, of course, the obvious one, math teacher, engineer, electrician, but we said things like people who install floors, interior designers, cashiers.
Excellent, very good. Thank you, guys. All right, over to our left side, our first group over here for real world. Can you share out 2 or 3 of yours, please?
Sure. Counting calories.
Oh.
And the counterpart that goes with that, cooking and baking. And then we have the whole education piece with test scores and grouping and assessments, and then the banking and finance and all that.
Excellent, great. And is our last group over here?
Oh, chicken.
Well, we said carpentry, budgets, financial planning. We also had baking, balancing checkbooks, comparing vehicles when you're out looking to purchase a car. Great.
Excellent, excellent answers. Thank you so much. Please come back to your seats. As you can see, we came up with a list too of some of our ideas. Says the March 2015 Parents Magazine published an article that discussed the fact that each of the top 20 jobs on the U.S. Bureau of Labor and Statistics current list of highest paying occupations value numerical literacy, and is predicted to become even more predominant for future jobs. The article also cited a study from the University of California at Irvine, which found that children who struggle with math in elementary school are 29% less likely to attend college than those that are proficient in it.
Now that we're thinking about some occupations that need mathematical skills, let me bring your attention to our issue of focus. How to increase students' achievement on the algebra assessment. This also opened the door to many other questions along the way. Which 2 of these we're going to address? In which ways is algebra developed K-12? And the second question, what are the gaps in instruction based on our data? In order to begin, we first needed to define what is algebra. Algebra is defined by Merriam-Webster Dictionary as a generalization of arithmetic in which letters representing numbers are combined according to the rules of arithmetic. Many researchers define algebra in different ways. According to the RAND Mathematical Study Panel, algebra is defined broadly as mathematical ideas and tools that constitute this major branch of the discipline of mathematics, including classical topics and modern extensions of the subject. The benefits of a focus on algebra. Algebra is a fundamental for exploring most areas of mathematics, science, and engineering. The second is students will now access a full range of educational and career options, such as what you just did on the posters around the room. And thirdly, high school students require substantial proficiency to graduate. There's 5 content area strands, as you can see on the chart up there, from pre-K to 12th grade. Each domain is important. However, algebra is a mathematical domain that is more than topical. It provides linguistic representational tools for work throughout mathematics. Algebra is considered the gateway to success in the 21st century. As you can see from this chart, it progresses and opens the door to many more opportunities.
Okay, so now you've heard some reasons as to why we're going to focus on algebra. This focus will help us prepare our students for college and career. But what does this really mean? The statistics tell us for every 100 ninth graders, 65 will graduate from high school, 35 will enter college, 24 will still be enrolled during their sophomore year, 12 graduate with a degree in 6 years, and sadly, 6 will get a good job after graduation. So how has math changed? What's different now? We learn more about fewer concepts. We focus on skill building and speed and accuracy, and we use real-world examples to help better understand concepts.
One of the first questions that came up as we were given this wonderful problem, issue analysis, was we asked ourselves, so why do Americans stink at math? And ironically, we found an article titled just that, so we thought jackpot. In the title, we were introduced to this gentleman, Akiko Takahashi. I practiced that a lot. Mr. Takahashi is currently an associate professor of mathematics instruction at DePaul University, but his career with math began back in 1978 when he began studying to be a math teacher at a university in Japan. He didn't realize that at the time, but Japan was revolutionizing the way that teachers were to teach math. Instead of memorizing and then practicing endless lists of equations, teachers were taught to encourage passionate discussions so that students themselves could uncover the procedures, the properties, and the proofs. The real kicker here was that these ideas that Japan was using to reform the way that math was being taught were coming from groups here in the United States, particularly the National Council of Teachers of Mathematics. So you see, we held the key to unlocking our issues with why Americans were falling further and further behind in math. But when Mr. Takahashi eventually came to the United States and started observing our classrooms, he was shocked to see that we were not using those strategies ourselves. Let me give you an example of how Americans failed at a fractions test.
Bigger is better with A&W's 1/3 pound double cheeseburgers. Giant double stacks of 100% U.S. beef steak burgers loaded with your favorite toppings. Demand bigger. Only at your local A&W.
So now that everyone's stomachs are rumbling. Back in the 1980s, popular fast food chain A&W launched the 3rd pound burger to combat McDonald's 1/4 pound burger. This ad campaign flopped. It flopped big time. Does anyone want to take a guess why?
Because people probably think the 3 on the bottom means smaller.
You said it exactly. When researchers polled consumers, that was their response. Why would I pay the same amount of money for a smaller burger? Because the 3 1/3 is smaller than the 4 1/4. So that's just, it was shocking, that they had to, the campaign ended. They no longer sold the 3rd pound burger. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Some other things came about in regards to why Americans keep falling further behind other countries when it comes to mathematics. One thing that we saw throughout our research was that Americans lacked number sense. All right, this topic called numeracy basically is the equivalent to not being able to read. We know our math facts. We know a squared plus b squared equals c squared, but we really don't have a true sense of numbers and how they work. Also, Mr. Takahashi, when he came to the American schools, he saw that many of us are still using the I, we, you pattern of teaching. What that would look like, it would be me introducing a topic. Today, I'm going to show you how we are going to find the area of a triangle. Next, we will work together to solve a couple of practice problems. And then for homework tonight, you will, complete the worksheet, and we'll talk about it the next day. He also, this was very interesting too, he labeled this problem the double bind. Because we, the teachers, are the very people who embody this problem, because it's like the old saying, monkey see, monkey do. We teach math like we were taught ourselves. Yet we are also the ones in charge of solving it. So it's very difficult for Americans to change that cultural way of teaching. And last but not least, poor implementation and lack of professional development. Time and time again, we push these new innovative ideas into our schools. But because implementation is poor and lack of professional development is provided, we always end up reverting back to our old ways of teaching. In fact, in Education Week, they polled teachers, and with the rollout of the new Common Core, it was shown that less than 4 days, those teachers were trained in less than 4 days in the new Common Core standards.
Now you're going to take a closer look at the influences the National Council of Teachers of Mathematics had on Japanese math instruction. The NCTM published a document, Curriculum and Evaluation Standards for School 1990, the NCTM recommended several conditions to enhance students' mathematical ability. Now, 25 years later, the United States has adopted the Common Core State Standards for Mathematics. The adoption of these standards provides an opportunity to re-energize and focus our commitment to improve mathematics education. The 10 keys to mathematical achievement evolved from the 1989 study of the NCTM. These 10 keys will help open the door to student proficiency through the implementation of the instructional strategies that have been shown to be most effective. One of the first keys is to provide instruction in pre-algebra and algebra, to link math to everyday problems and solutions, to teach how to effectively communicate math ideas, to test less, involve small group and individual projects more, and to use calculators and computers. To assign and monitor homework every day, to emphasize less television and more reading, to encourage parents to provide reading materials at home, to use flexible heterogeneous grouping, and lastly, to develop students' reasoning and analytic abilities. The ideas that were found in the 1980s by the NCTM are mirrored in the Mathematical Common Core Practice Standards. Take a second to look at these if you're not already familiar.
So studies have been conducted on how to increase math achievement since the 1970s. The following slides, we're going to introduce to you some strategies introduced to us by D'Ambroso, Johnson, and Hobbs about how we are going to increase our students' achievement in mathematics. They're broken down into 3 categories: student learning, content application and integration, as well as instructional approach. The first strategy involves teachers being actively engaged in their students' constructing their mathematical knowledge through the use of activities that encourage them to explore and investigate mathematical ideas. By engaging them in mathematical exploration, students are able to reshape their understanding of mathematics and be more creative. The second strategy is how teachers facilitate mathematical communication through oral and written expression. In this video, you will see a small group of second grade students and how they are exploring and communicating their thinking and their learning in a math class.
I used the arrow way because it works best for me, and I got the right answer. Okay. I used the number bond way too, and I also used the vertical algorithm because the vertical algorithm was just was an easy one I picked out, and then I wanted to pick out a challenging one, so I picked the number bond way. And 50 plus 40 equals 91, and just left the one there, so it's 91. 50 plus 40 is 90.
So, the third strategy involves linking mathematics to real-world situations in order to help us solve problems. And that's where your charts kind of come into play, making a connection as to why we need mathematics and where it is involved in the real world. Using real-world math problems within the classroom allows the students to value mathematics more. They find that there's real-world context should be very familiar and imaginable to the students, so that they can then serve as a stepping stone to help them understand mathematical concepts better.
The fourth strategy we're going to look at is teachers encouraging students to use strategy, teachers need to emphasize the use of this, and with younger students, they might rely on using these concrete objects or pictures to help them solve problems. The effective use requires 3 stages. The first stage is the use of the manipulatives alone. And in this video, you will see the students doing that. When given an equation or a number sentence, students should be able to draw a diagram or make a model with a manipulative, and the materials needed to be used in a meaningful way to make them meaningful and concrete for the students.
How many individual cubes are there in a 10 stick? Sammy, 10 cubes. How many dimes would you need to show the same value as a 10 stick? How many dimes would you need to show the same value as a 10 stick? Eden.
The second stage is the use of manipulatives side by side with symbolic paper pencil representation. In this middle stage, it's very important that you allow the students sufficient time. You just can't show them it up front and not have them the chance to actually manipulate it themselves. If you do this, it leaves the students sometimes confused and unable to internalize the concept that you're teaching. And you'll see that in this video.
It says fill in the place value chart in blank. So how many 10 sticks would you use to show the bunches of carrots? How many 10 sticks would you use, Eden? Can you put those next to it? Paige and Eden has it. How many did they use? How many times? That's okay, that's what they do. How many 10 sticks each have? 2. So how many 10s and how many 1s do you have? How many 10s and how many 1s do you have? Paige.
I have 2 10s and 0 1s.
Okay, can you do that and fill in your place value?
And in the final stage, they use the use of symbolic representation alone. And it's important that teachers introduce the students to a wide variety of tools throughout this curriculum. Students need to use their tools to construct and make sense of concepts themselves, so it's not always the teacher showing. This is a stage where teachers can use exit tickets, homework, and problem sets to demonstrate that.
Okay. So you're going to have to work with the person next to you to draw or cross off 10s and 1s as needed. So go ahead and do that. Talk to the person. If you agree, keep going. If you agree, you just keep going and write the answer.
So we've made it halfway through our strategies. We're up to the 5th strategy, and that is teachers integrate mathematics with other content areas in a meaningful way. All teachers need to relate math to their own content area, and like Joelle had stated earlier, teachers need to relate math to real-world examples in order to broaden their students' understanding of mathematical concepts. When students can do this on their own, they will better be able to develop a richer and deeper understanding of mathematics discipline, rather than seeing it as a series of disconnected and unrelated topics that's being taught. Strategy 6. Teachers build instruction on students' prior knowledge of mathematical ideas. The benefit of activating prior knowledge and having the students engaging in a task for which the solution method is not known in advance allows the students to draw on their knowledge, and by doing so, students will often develop new and richer mathematical understandings. Research shows that as students learn, they mentally organize new information and attach it to information they had previously learned. When teachers activate a student's prior knowledge, students will become more motivated to learn new concepts and build on their mathematical foundations that is already in place. Here's a video of two of our teachers sharing their observations about motivation in their classrooms. Notice the difference between a first grade and a sixth grade teacher's perspectives.
Plus, I personally don't feel that there's a lack of student motivation in my classroom. I think in study skills, if anything, again, I'm going to bring it back to parents. I think the kids that have good families and good parents and good backgrounds, they come to school with that pre-knowledge, and those parents do the homework, and they get all of everything that we do in the classroom every day. They get all that reinforcement at home, and the friends that don't have that support at home, they don't get that, so it just puts them farther and farther behind. So again, I'm going to go with not so much lack of student motivation. I think that's just parent.
So your second and third questions kind of tie into one another for me with student motivation and the attitude of students towards math in the classroom. A lack of motivation and a lack to improve in math is a huge problem for me this year. The majority of my struggling students aren't concerned about the fact that they're struggling. What I see a lot of the time is, let me just do what I need to do for the 80 plus minutes that I have to be in the classroom and get out of here. The students that I need to see after school for extra help are very rarely willing to come in and do any extra work. And on more than one occasion, I've had the conversation with my students that it's very frustrating that I seem to be more invested and care a whole lot more than they do about their success in math. And I don't, unfortunately at this point, know many ways to fix that. We are using tablets in the classroom this year as part of my flipped and blended learning pilot. The students do enjoy using them at the beginning of the period when they come in. It seems to be something that has got some of them a little bit more invested in doing those problems.
Helen just spoke about motivation, and you just heard our sixth grade teacher talk about the use of tablets for flipped and blended learning in his classroom. This brings us to our seventh strategy. Teachers provide students with opportunities to use technology. According to the NCTM Principles and Standards for School Mathematics, technology can help support investigations by students in every area and allow them to focus on decision-making, reflection, reasoning, and problem-solving. The existence, versatility, and power of technology make it possible and necessary to re-examine what mathematics students should learn, as well as how they learn it. Teachers use a variety of resources inside and outside the classroom to facilitate a greater understanding of mathematics. Okay, this is just a quick list on some top apps for math fluency. You will see this list in your folder, giving a brief description of what platform they can run on and whether they have a cost or not. The eighth strategy is that teachers value the individual's responses and ideas and show respect for all thoughts shared throughout the course of instruction. Looking at the eighth strategy, students can learn from using error analysis to develop a deeper understanding of math. The NCTM calls for more opportunities for students to understand the purposes of reasoning, improving in mathematics, explore and make conjectures about relationships and patterns, and provide reasoning why they are true and false. Reinforcement of these concepts ensures, again, students developing persistent authority-based reasoning schemes. Students need to know how to reason, and the teacher needs to be respectful while this is happening, as well as lead the discussion centered around student learning. Our next strategy states that teachers offer all students an enriched curriculum that goes beyond basic skills and incorporates a variety of challenging experiences. I want to focus on that word all. Not too often do we associate the term struggling students with phrases such as enriched curriculum and challenging experiences. And the problem lies with a few misconceptions. One of them being that mathematics should be dumbed down for underachieving students, and the second being that tracking and ability grouping help struggling students succeed in math, neither of which have shown or proven to help our students that are struggling. So how can we help students with gaps from the past succeed today? What that would entail is saying goodbye to the old philosophy of remediation and look at a new philosophy called acceleration. The problem with remediation is that our belief is that we need to go back and cover everything that a student has missed over the years in order for them to be successful in the here and now. And that really is not 100% true. What we're doing when we do that is we're taking the students with the largest gaps and we're moving them the farthest distance back instead of accelerating them and, like I said, making them successful, giving them the tools they need to be successful in the current with the current curriculum that they're getting in their math class. So why does acceleration work? It works because, like I said, we're looking at how we can get them to be successful in the here and now. With acceleration, teachers need to collaboratively and thoughtfully select the prior knowledge that will best help these students grasp the upcoming standards. Not to go without saying that the basic skills don't need to be revisited. They do, but they need to be laser selected by the teacher. They need to be applied right away, and they should never be taught in isolation. You'll find this chart in your folder. This chart we felt would be invaluable. The ramifications of it, the difference between our current remediation model and our acceleration model, it far exceeds just the math classroom. I teach ELA, I've taught ELA for 12 years. We're dealing with some of the same issues here. So, this philosophy, I think, would help us see some more success and try to help these students become more successful so that they can go on to achieving higher level math courses in school. So it just goes through two pieces here. And last but not least, strategy number 10 states that teachers should challenge students with many types of problem-solving experiences, including solving non-routine problems and open-ended problems. To prepare our kids to be ready for the future that awaits them, we really need to teach them to be better problem solvers. And again, this strategy goes beyond the walls of the math classroom. And in order to expose these children to problems, we need to make sure that they have different strategies. They're given different ways to solve problems. And with that, studies show that students will have the tools that they need to be more successful and to do well out in the real world.
We're going to take a minute to review what we've learned so far. One thing is the traditional approach to the teaching in the U.S. In the past, it's been we teach everything across all the grade levels, K to 12. With the Common Core State Standard approach, now we're teaching fewer concepts, but the teachers are able to delve deeper into those concepts, and this allows teachers to use the strategies to increase math achievement within their classroom. This is a list of the strategies we've gone over, the 10 strategies, and the implementation of these strategies within our teaching will help us increase our student achievement. These strategies are listed in your folder for you to refer back to. With this, using these strategies, this helps increase our students' mathematics test scores. So far to this question, how to increase student achievement on the algebra assessment. We've also shared some research about how to achieve success in math. Now we will listen to our teachers, share our collaboration information from other local districts, and look at our own local data. We wanted to share the voice of some of our Phoenix school teachers and ask them what they see as gaps in their classrooms. In this video, you will hear what they are seeing from first grade through sixth grade.
So what basic skills do our students lack? Our students lack just basic math skills. They don't have an understanding of number sense, how numbers operate together. They don't have basic addition, subtraction, multiplication facts down. Really hurts them with everything that they're doing. They lack the skill to be able to take a question and break it apart into smaller pieces, solve the smaller pieces, and put the pieces back together to come up with an answer.
The basic skills that I see my students lacking in math this year is, and in my opinion, I feel it's my lower students, they are lacking number sense. And just like 1, 2, 3, 4 is the number 4. Besides that, I really don't see too much. I mean, I think my kids are rock stars in math. They do a great job.
What basic skills I see my students lacking, and just basic facts, especially multiplication and addition facts, which obviously lends itself to not knowing subtraction or division facts as well. We'll work through a long problem or a long concept and finally get down to basic part of the problem where you need to know the fact to get to the answer.
We then reached out to other local area schools, and we heard back from Oswego, Homer, Fulton, and Central Square. As you can see from this chart, many of them had some of the same concerns we were having. You can also see how their scheduling is set up. They have math every day. They see their students every day for 43 minutes. We currently have block scheduling. In 7-8, they see the students every other day. We also saw, as you can see on the chart, they lack the basic skills, the number sense, word problems, fractions, and basic computation.
So now you've heard from what our teachers are seeing and what other local area teachers are seeing within their classrooms. So now let's look at the data. We went through the data for the past 3 years within our district. And we realized this really doesn't start in 3rd grade. However, state testing starts in 3rd grade. So we really recommend looking at K2 fluency standards, because fluency is not just of addition and subtraction facts. The fluency is about the expectations, the problem solving, the modeling of new ideas. And now we went back and looked at the data. The state testing data for 3rd and 4th grade over the past 3 years shows us our areas that are similar across the grade levels. We can see that we have weaknesses in the areas of fractions as well as multi-step word problems in both 3rd and 4th grade. When we looked at the 5th and 6th grade data, we noticed that the same kind of trend was happening, where the multi-step word problems continue to be a struggle, especially the ones in real-world settings, and that word problems we know are tough to attack. Like when using them with addition and subtraction of fractions, it stems back to building the fluency in the lower grade levels. And then we looked at 7th and 8th grade. Again, you'll see multi-step word problems, real-world word problems, as well as the linear expressions in both. With all these gaps from 3rd grade through 8th grade, if we filled them and we worked towards that, we could achieve higher test scores on our algebra test. So here's a little summary. The difficulties occur and they begin with fractions in 3rd grade. Fluency and understanding of word problems, as well as speed and accuracy of our operations, addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, And then our students need a true understanding of real-world problems, and that needs to begin right away in kindergarten. Here's a brief summary chart for you so you can see some of our areas that we have weaknesses in and how, if it starts in 3rd grade, it's going to extend throughout all the grades.
Our next slides we're going to talk about is our recommendations that we feel will increase achievement in math for the Phoenix Central School District students. Our 6 recommendations include a family pancake breakfast, professional development, an RTI program, vertical collaboration, increased communication regarding students, and math instructional specialists K4 and 5-8. All right, so let's start with the family pancake breakfast. Always a good time. Says we recommend that we have a pancake breakfast instead of a traditional parent night to try to increase our parents' participation. We have found that many parents and students are unable to attend night events due to other obligations, whether it be sports or work or other commitments elsewhere, else places. This event will allow parents and students to interact with the Common Core curriculum and strategies in a fun and engaging way. Our next recommendation was professional development. It was requested by our high school algebra teachers that we interviewed who had previously attended an NCTM conference with Kara Hines, for her to come to the district and train our teachers in the Common Core and the implementation of it. This will be for teachers in grades 6 through 12. Illustrative math. This is a self-paced online course in Moodle based on the fractions progression. The course consists of an introduction and 7 units related to fractions for teachers in grades 3 to 5. Each unit includes a short video, tasks, readings, and quizzes. And finally, high-yield routines. This is a book study for teachers in grade K to 2 about how to easily implement routines into their classrooms and to enhance content knowledge and content practices. Our last recommendation for professional development is going to refer back to Lynn's presentation and her slides for research and how it's being taught in Japan. A lesson study is a teacher-led professional development that provides teachers the opportunity to see teaching and learning in the classroom in a concrete form. This is not only a useful tool to disseminate effective teaching practices, but also a powerful mechanism to drive such practices. By looking at actual practices in the classroom, teachers are able to develop a common understanding or image of what a good practice and good teaching entails. This will also provide an opportunity for teachers to examine the student learning process and their misunderstandings that students have. This keeps students at the heart of the professional development activity. Teachers in the Phoenix Central School District currently have the opportunity per our contract to go and observe other teachers teach. This practice will establish a platform for professional discussion amongst teachers throughout the buildings in our district, and to become actively involved in the process of instructional change and curriculum development.
The recommendations for RTI are based upon our research and understanding that to increase math achievement and eliminate gaps, we must begin at the elementary level. The 3 programs that we're recommending are Illustrative Math, Scholastic Math Inventory, and the Scholastic Do the Math program. Illustrative Math is completely free and provides lessons for teachers to refer to and use for teaching a specific skill within a standard. The Scholastic Math Inventory is a computer adaptive assessment tool that monitors growth from 3rd grade through Algebra 1. And Do the Math Now provides step-by-step lessons organized into 10 units, each with 15 lessons that include teaching instructions, schemes, suggestions for differentiation, and embedded assessment. We also talked about vertical collaboration and communication, and this is a beautiful illustration that gives you a sense on how coherence links topics across grades. If you look at the beginning of the step, you will see how 1st grade, operations and algebraic thinking, is a foundation for 3rd grade, and 3rd grade is a prerequisite for 5th grade. And for 5th grade, operations and algebraic thinking. All of these then lead to algebra, which in its cleanest sense is in 6th grade with expressions and equations.
instructional specialist working this year, and we would like to continue that if possible. And we also are recommending a K-4 instructional specialist. There are many reasons why an elementary specialist would influence our students' achievement. We found a study over the course of 3 years by Campbell and Melkus from 2013, and they stated that math specialists could support all facets of teaching, including curriculum, lesson planning, student work, assessments, and school improvement. An elementary school math instructional specialist would focus on working with individual teachers to foster instructional changes and then lead to student achievement.
We summarize all that into this chart for you. This is our budget costs. So the professional development cost would be the Carol Hines class, bringing her to the district for 3 days, the online illustrated math course, and the NCTM book study, and also the lesson studies based on Mr. Takahashi's findings. The RTI was the Scholastic Math Inventory and the Do Your Math program. The vertical collaboration would be free, along with increased communication across grade levels within the district. The math instructional specialist is approximately $80,000 each. And the pancake breakfast, that would include 3 hours of time with the teachers planning, and we would also go to the PFO and ask for a source of funding for them. We just want to leave you with some final thoughts to share our vision for improving the future of our class, of our children.
Imagine a classroom, a school, or a school district where all students have access to high-quality, engaging mathematics instruction. There are ambitious expectations for all, with accommodations for those who need them and challenges for those who stand to benefit from them. Knowledgeable teachers have adequate resources to support their work and are continually growing as professionals. The curriculum is mathematically rich, offering students opportunities to learn important mathematical concepts and procedures with understanding. Technology is an essential component of the environment. Students confidently engage in complex mathematical tasks chosen carefully by their teachers. They draw on knowledge from a wide variety of mathematical topics, sometimes approaching the same problem from different mathematical perspectives or representing the mathematics in different ways until they find methods that enable them to make progress. Teachers help students make, refine, and explore conjectures on the base of evidence and use a variety of reasoning and proof techniques to conform or disprove those conjectures. Students are flexible and resourceful problem solvers. Alone or in groups, and with access to technology, they work productively and reflectively with the skilled guidance of their teachers. Orally and in writing, students communicate their ideas and results effectively. They value mathematics and engage actively in learning it.
Welcome any thoughts or questions that you may have.
Actually, I have a follow-up for you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Lots of notes here. You talked about lesson study, and you mentioned that under your contract, you can have time to go and observe. But then the follow-up for lesson study requires a boatload of more time for collaboration. How do you address that, or how are you thinking of addressing that?
The reason why we focused on the lesson study is when we looked at how we ranked with other nations. When you saw some of the data was up on the screen when we had that slide, we, compared to other countries, have the least amount of time for professional development and conversation. So, some districts like Mexico, every 10 weeks have a professional development day. So
sometimes have money in the budget for after-school hours. It's hard, it's hard. It's, getting people there. But that was, I think that was like the biggest, when we interviewed our teachers, they felt like they didn't have enough time to actually talk about their teaching. And like the one-hit wonder, professional development days where someone comes in and then they're gone and then you're left with these materials, but like you said, there's no follow-up. So, we'd like to change the scope of how professional development is implemented in the district.
One thing we offer in the elementary building, K-4, is we now have collaboration weekly with grade levels. So if a teacher does have the opportunity to go see another teacher, they can come back and we meet an hour once a week. And our grade level teams are 6 to 7 teachers, and then include the special ed teacher and reading specialist. So they could come back and have those conversations. Again, it's an hour, but those hours are pretty productive, when organized.
Did you choose this issue, or did someone else choose it?
I've taught ELA for 13 years.
Oh, no.
I
heard 2 ELAs, I think, in there.
Yeah.
So what brought it to make it a district study?
Well, it's always been a problem, and there's been a huge issue from when the Common Core came in, and the students who have received just a little bit of Common Core, how are they going to pass the Common Core regions? So Judy gave us a lovely assignment right before Christmas to work on.
And they've done a wonderful job stretching themselves as leaders.
It's been a challenge, and I love math, but it's definitely been a challenge.
Do you have, and I know, so data is where I'm obviously going to focus. So, and I noticed that you looked at the 3-through 8 testing. Do you have district-wide benchmarks? Any, common assessments that are used maybe in a formative way throughout the year in any of the grade levels?
We have, under the module assessments, for all of the, I do it in first grade, kindergarten does it. After every single module, there's usually a mid and end module assessment.
And are students struggling on those as well?
I can speak for myself. In first grade, they've been doing awesome. And I think it's
Which is
because
what
they
this
have...
easier with the rock stars.
Right, right. And I can say I was a fourth grade teacher up until this year. I taught fourth grade for 6 years. And I think if people just give it a little bit of time, they're going to see huge results. And my children are excited to do math, and they like it. And they had that foundation in kindergarten. And I think that's why it's such a big problem for the algebra teachers, because they haven't had that strong foundation.
I think with the new curriculum, though, that is like an area that we need to look at, collect that data to look at, because we've only been doing it for 1 year, a year and a half now. So to really collect that data to see, are they doing well across 7th grade on the end module assessment board? Yeah, because I'm not a big fan of using the 3-through 8 tests as anything to generate change.
Well,
absolutely.
As the instructional specialist, we do Ames Web, K-4, and they do Progress Monitor, and then I also collect all that end of module assessment, and we have that in a spreadsheet. So when we were starting to work towards grade level collaborations, looking at it, and teachers write their little notes on there, this kid missed 5 lessons, and then they gave the end module assessment, So just so it's not, oh no, where's this kid at? So we do have those conversations, and we are looking at that, but we've just started implementing that, and so hopefully next year will give us 2.5 years of that data to follow those students too.
Also, Joe, I think we have to talk about the tagging project that you just participated in.
Yes, we are tagging the questions for ELA and math with the module assessments. So right now we're working on ELA, and the next step will be math. So we will be able to, once all the questions are tagged to the standards, they will then be put into Linkit, and then we will be able to grade it.
Which is similar to Performance Plus for us.
I give you guys all credit because to do math if you're not math people, I know I'm a math person, and if I had to do a whole presentation on ELA, I would be lightheaded and but do you have common formative assessment or common interim assessments in 7 and 8 or whatever what's your middle school?
They're using the same curriculum, so they would have the same.
Their modules.
Modules.
They're all doing the modules.
Yeah,
also?
yeah.
And so they do the module. Do they do the 5 weeks also?
Yes, and most units, they're doing the mid-modules and the end of the year.
Do they have time to get together together after the mid modules and end modules to review the
Yeah.
data? And then,
They do have some collaboration time. We just have a new instructional specialist this year in for our math, and she is working diligently with our 7th and 8th grade math teachers, because that's where I am in my end of the building. So I see her constantly in the hallway and having these conversations with the students, or with the teachers, and they, over the student data. And usually about once every 2 weeks, she's meeting with them after school, even though it's only a half an hour, just to share that information and come up with the strategies.
We've also allowed any time that, I mean, if they really have a need and they need to get a sub, we've usually been pretty flexible with a lot of them time to.
how about in algebra? Are you, with your Algebra 1 class, are you using modules for Algebra 1? Or are you just adapting modules and teaching Algebra 1?
They're using the modules.
They're using the modules, so they're using all the common assessments also?
Yeah.
And same thing's happening for them, time to review the data?
They're adapting also.
Adapting, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're full, this is it, but they are, because of, too, where the kids are coming with the gaps, and the kids haven't had all the Common Core all the way through.
Right.
So when they're getting there, they're using pieces of the module, but I know they are also adapting.
Are they gonna take the Common Core regions? They're gonna take the Common Core regions?
Yeah.
They have to.
No, they're opting integrated.
No, as of August, they're not.
A revised schedule came out in December and has integrated on it.
Is that only for catch-up kids?
Those are for the.
Because if you're in two
Common
years,
Core, you're supposed to take the Common Core, then your cohort.
We were saying it was the 2-year course, if you were doing the stretch course.
Right.
That is what that is for, it's not for all students.
So all the grade 9 are taking the Common Core.
What's your current passing rate on the algebra readings?
We don't talk about that.
Well, I just, I
Yeah,
mean,
take it off.
I have to ask that because that's how do we create some math achievement on the algebra assessment.
We have room for improvement.
We don't talk about it. It's great.
Yes, we have room for improvement.
Okay.
Yeah, I think one of the other, they mentioned the instructional specialists. We used to have 2 instructional specialists at the elementary school. We had 2 at the middle school. In the high school, to be very honest, it floundered a little bit. But with the idea with the instructional specialists in the middle school was that we had them go basically 6-12 at the time. Now it's a 5-8 vote, so we shifted a little bit. But now we're down to really only 1, which is Jill at the elementary school, and we have 1 funded through a grant. So, the high school has a teacher, I would say on special assignment, who's doing a little bit of the instructional specialist role over there, but he's also teaching a class, and math isn't necessarily his expertise. So there's a lot of challenges with us stretching over there.
And Chris, I may give incorrect information, but I think our kids last year got the aspirational performance measure, which is, you have to reach an 80 on the integrated algebra. I think it was 34%. I think we're about a 75% passing rate. The encouraging thing is our kids in June, because you had both the 2005 and the Common Core integrated algebra, we had many more kids pass the Common Core algebra regions than the 2005. And the difficulty is you really can't cross-pollinate those because it's just too different of a course for each one of those. But, this is why I asked my wonderful leaders to explore this topic, because I would love to see Phoenix be up there with the Onondaga County schools in our integrated algebra, because and I know that kids aren't going to be successful in college unless they have a good score on that integrated algebra and geometry and integrated algebra and 2 or trig or whatever they're going to call it. So it's very important that we start getting the mindset in Phoenix that our kids will be mathematicians and they will be successful in the Common Core math.
Well, I found it very intriguing, the comment by the first grade teacher who talked about motivation and parent involvement, because I would challenge that teacher on that comment, because what was that?
I just said, yeah.
Because I really struggled with that, and my staff saw me struggle with that.
The one that said good families?
Yes, because the instructional strategies are what motivate kids. It doesn't matter what their background. So I'm just wondering if there's a piece of instructional strategies that maybe the district could focus on as well. I think where you're headed with the math ideas, but I heard all of you say, on ELA, and you're talking about good instruction. Good instruction is good instruction, no matter what the content area is.
I think what she was getting at, our last research project was the implementation of a summer school program. And it's very it is, I totally agree. I mean, I always, when people complain, I'm like, then how are these like you know, you see in the news and you read articles about these inner city schools that are able to turn it around. It's like, who are we to complain then that our kids have it bad when you know it's,
And my only point is, like, if I were to put that in front of my board,
yes.
that would be all they would focus on.
And I will say, it came off a little odd to me also,
Yeah,
knowing
exactly,
Carrie.
yes.
She's one of the best teachers in the district, she's fantastic,
And
she'll
she's
go
very
above and
positive in
beyond.
the second
Yeah.
interview.
She's incredible, she'll do
Yeah.
anything for those
But
kids
that's
to be
why I'm saying
successful.
when you're
So when I saw it, I'm like,
editing-
that came off kinda.
Yeah, so when you're editing, just be careful of that as a tip, because that's,
I agree, it shot me for a little loop, I'm thinking that didn't come off